The sanitation districts of Los Angeles County provide environmentally sound, cost-effective wastewater and solid waste management, and in doing so, take what others think of as waste and turn it into resources such as reclaimed water, energy, and recycled materials. As local landfills reach capacity, the need for remote refuse disposal has risen to the forefront given the difficulty of creating new landfills within the urban environment. Because of this, the sanitation districts have taken the lead in developing a waste-by-rail system to allow for solid waste disposal at distant locations. This is the story of the beginning of the waste-by-rail system to serve Los Angeles County, our long-term plan to ensure that solid waste management needs are met as local landfills reach capacity. Local materials recovery facilities, commonly referred to as MRFs, are the first component of the waste-by-rail system. Here, a trash collection truck arrives at the Pointy Hills MRF, stops at the scale house to be weighed, and continues into the MRF through a quick-action roll-up door. This door keeps odors and dust inside the building. Inside the MRF, traffic directors send the trash trucks to appropriate areas for unloading. Loads are pushed onto a conveyor where the trash is sorted for recyclable materials. The large tipping floor allows for safe and efficient floor sorting and additional recycling. Recyclable materials are then packaged for sale. The non-recyclable wastes from the processing line are returned to the tipping floor through the overhead conveyor. Non-recyclable wastes are pushed by front-end loaders into rail-ready shipping containers parked underneath the tipping floor. An excavator levels and compacts the trash in the container. Alternatively, the containers can be loaded from the back end with compacted trash. When the containers are fully loaded, the transfer trucks exit the loadout bays or holes in the tipping floor and drive to the intermodal facility, the second component of the waste-by-rail system. Customers will exit the Pointy Hills MRF over a bridge to avoid cross-traffic between the customer trucks and the transfer trucks below. All containers will be fully sealed and leak-proof. The planned access between the Pointy Hills MRF and the intermodal facility is through a tunnel under Workman Mill Road. This will be the only truck access to the facility and will reduce local traffic impacts. The facility will handle 2 trains per day, or about 8,000 tons of trash. One train will come from the Pointy Hills MRF, and another will come from other off-site MRFs. When a transfer truck with a full container arrives at the intermodal facility, the truck will pull up next to the rail loading tracks. Similarly, a transfer truck with an empty container will return to the Pointy Hills MRF or another off-site MRF. When Union Pacific Railroad delivers a train with empty containers from the Mesquite Regional Landfill, locomotives pull the train onto one of the 2 new arrival tracks that will be built within the Union Pacific right-of-way. The locomotives will be readied for connection to a train with full containers for the return trip to the Mesquite Regional Landfill. Alternatively, the locomotives may be stored in the intermodal facility if a full train has not been assembled or if a crew change is needed. A smaller switch locomotive will be used to pull sections of rail cars onto the loading tracks in the intermodal facility. The process is repeated until all 6 loading tracks are full. During this operation, the train will not cross Workman Mill or Mission Mill roads or block traffic in any way. The travel speed of the engine shown here is much faster than the speed of the actual operation. Typically, it takes about an hour to place an entire train within the intermodal facility. When a transfer truck with a full container arrives at the intermodal facility, the full container will be offloaded from the truck and placed onto a rail car. The truck will then pull forward, where another overhead crane will lift an empty container from a rail car and place it onto the truck for the return trip. When the rail cars are full of loaded containers, The switch locomotive will pull each section onto the departure track within the Union Pacific right-of-way and will repeat this process until a full train is assembled. A full train is about a mile long and can hold about 4,000 tons of trash. It will remain on the departure track until a Union Pacific Railroad crew arrives to connect the full train to the Union Pacific locomotives. The crew will then perform a brake inspection and other safety checks prior to departure to the Mesquite Regional Landfill. The Mesquite Regional Landfill is the final component to the waste-by-rail system. The journey begins at the Puente Hills Intermodal Facility and continues east through Colton. The 220-mile train trip to the Mesquite Regional Landfill then progresses through Indio and turns southeast past the Salton Sea. The Mesquite Regional Landfill is located in Imperial County. The Mesquite Regional Landfill can accept up to 20,000 tons per day and has the capacity to be operational for up to 100 years. It is designed to include many innovative and state-of-the-art environmental control systems to protect air quality and groundwater. It will be California's first operational landfill designed to receive waste by rail. A 5-mile private rail spur will connect the Union Pacific Main Line to the remote intermodal facility at the Mesquite Regional Landfill. At build-out, this facility could handle up to 5 incoming trains per day and could accept waste-by-rail trains from other intermodal facilities throughout Southern California. When the train arrives at the intermodal facility, it will pull onto one of the loading tracks, which is long enough to hold an entire train. An overhead crane will lift the full containers from the rail cars and load them onto transfer trucks. If a transfer truck is not available, the full containers can be stacked adjacent to the loading tracks and taken to the landfill at a later time. The transfer trucks will transport the full containers to the disposal area using internal landfill access roads. When the transfer truck arrives at the disposal area, the trash is unloaded from the container using a landfill tipper. A landfill tipper is designed to lift and unload the contents of a transfer trailer or container. A typical landfill tipper can empty a trailer within 10 minutes. Trash from local jurisdictions in Imperial County will also be accepted at the Mesquite Regional Landfill and would be delivered to the site by transfer trucks. These transfer trucks include a mechanism to eject the trash from the truck without the use of a tipper. Dozers will push and compact the trash onto the daily cell, which will be covered with dirt or other approved cover at the end of each working day. The biogas generated from the natural decomposition of refuse will be used to generate electricity. The sanitation districts are committed to reducing air quality impacts through the use of clean-burning alternative fuels and the latest emission control measures. After the trash is unloaded from the containers, the transfer truck will return to the remote intermodal facility. The empty containers will be placed onto rail cars for the return trip to the Puente Hills Intermodal Facility, where the waste-by-rail cycle will begin again. The waste-by-rail system is a truly unique project that will help the sanitation districts meet Los Angeles County's solid waste disposal needs into the future and represents a continuation of our commitment to environmentally sound, cost-effective solid waste disposal.